like to call to order meeting of the Township of Hamilton, Tuesday, January 21st, 2020. Please, excuse me. I'll have to call him back. Please raise for the flag salute.
All right, Rod.
Yeah. Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Charlie, would you like to lead us, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to
All right,
the New
thanks.
Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and the Atlantic County Record on January the 15th, 2020. Mr. Kane,
Here.
Mr. Gishard,
President,
Mr. Kurtz,
Here.
Mr. Patali,
Here.
Mayor Schenker.
Here. We have a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. We'll move on to guest presentations. We'll have the annual report of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee. Ms. Fox, how are you? Nice to see you.
Good evening, Diane Fox, Senior Citizen Advisory Committee. I'm here to give our report for 2019 and our agenda for 2020. 2019, we attended Township events, Hometown Celebration, Fall Festival, and National Night Out. We attended a senior luncheon at the Methodist Church. We surveyed the seniors that were at this luncheon. There were about 30. We actually wanted to know what they wanted the committee to do, what they were expecting us to do. And out of the 30 surveys that we left there, 8 were returned. And it seemed that most of the seniors wanted to do activities.
Can you just speak into the mic? I'm sorry, we're not picking you up.
Sure. Can you hear me now? Now?
Yes?
Good.
Yes.
So 2 months later, we held a senior meet and greet at the Methodist Church. We called it Dessert with Seniors, and we wanted the seniors to gather and let us know the events they wanted us to hold, and it was attended by 2 seniors.
Nice.
In October, we held a speaker series at the Methodist Church. It was with the Atlantic County Intergenerational Program, and we introduced the services that were offered, and we had a speaker for Medicare. That was attended by 30 seniors. It was very well attended. In 2020, we're going to continue to hold speaker series. We know you're looking into the health fair for us. We appreciate that. We want to organize a food drive along with the hometown celebration. We want to have Operation Soldier packages. We were going to talk to Rodney about that at the next meeting. And I'm working with the Davies School to develop a Senior Technology Day, and that would be twice a year in the spring and the summer. 2018, we did have computer classes there, and we're attended by 50 seniors. So we want to expand that. And we're also going to develop a senior dance prom at the Davies School.
Very nice.
That-
Very good.
thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it. We'll move on. Additions, deletions of late agenda items. I don't believe we have any. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed in public hearings. Mike? No one signed up? Thank you. Number 3, discussions, formal actions may be taken. A, 2020 Hamilton Township MUA contribution request. Anything for discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions. And maybe you could help us out, Mike. I know you and I had a few conversations about this. How is this contribution ask set?
Well, by committee ultimately. I mean, it's part of the budget process.
But how do we come up,
The amount,
what is the amount we can possibly ask for?
Okay. The maximum amount is 5%. Let me get I have the document right here. It's 5% of the annual cost of operation of the authority may be appropriated for use in the local budget of the municipality or county that created the authority unless otherwise restricted by bond covenants. And I believe that total is about $250,000.
250, I mean, given the crisis that we're faced with the loss of ratables, especially at the Hamilton Mall, do you not feel, I mean, I feel it would be appropriate to increase that ask. I mean, I understand that we had that ask in the past when we had similar issues, and we have reduced it. But I mean, I feel it would be appropriate to figure out if, you know, what the 5% is compared, especially, I believe, surrounding communities. I think EHT gets
Maximum.
the maximum, and I think they're in the neighborhood of 300,000. So, I mean, I think it would be appropriate if we're going to ask at this time, given what we're facing here as a committee going into the budget season, you know, an increase to that max amount, I think would be appropriate.
Yes. I agree.
I have a question, concern. I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, this we've been doing this for years, I guess. And I feel as MUA, I use their services, I pay my bill. So now you're going to take money that I paid into the MUA and then give it to the township. It's almost like people who get water and sewer are paying taxes twice. I mean, if the MUA has this much money to just give to the township, why can't they lower my rate? That's the way I look at it. So now I'm getting hit twice. All the MUA guys, we're all getting hit twice.
Mike, could you say once again, we asked for how much and how much is allowed?
You're allowed about $250,000. That's a rounded number.
Right.
And the last 4 years, we've gotten $200,000. The year before that, $175,000, and then the 2 to 3 years before that, it was $250,000. We've been doing it since about 2009, I believe, 2010.
Now we're asking for 200?
Oh, well, that's what we asked for last year. That's just a draft letter.
Okay.
Right. So, Mike, and just to Carl's point, if 250 on the Hamilton Township tax rate compared to the 250 on, would you have any idea of what it would cost the ratepayers of water and sewer with the MUA?
I don't with the ratepayers. I do know that a penny on the tax is about $206,000, so this would save over a penny.
So we're talking a penny for the township. And I mean, I just, in light of, and Carl, I really appreciate your point on this, because I think the rate, the HTMUA services, I know Jenny's sitting back there, I think about 7,000 residents, or am I off by 9,000 to 9,000 residents? Yeah. You know, it would be a big help to us this year. And you know, it's, and I got to say, I mean, we are looking at a situation where the MUA is looking to spend, you know, which was originally $2 million on a new building. Now we're at $2.5 million, and we all know there's cost overruns on that. And I think that given the you know, in light of the situation that we've lost substantial ratables at the racetrack for the last 2 years, I'm sorry, the Hamilton Mall, that it would be appropriate to raise that ask this year.
I don't know, my feeling is I kind of agree with Carl that if we have our problems, they have their problems too. And this is all coming from the taxpayer, but in this case, it's coming more so from the ratepayers. And I don't know that we should be taking money from the ratepayers.
But there is a reason that every MUA gives back to the township, correct?
Well, the state law allows
It's a
it.
state law that allows it.
Yeah.
Right.
But everyone doesn't do it. right?
Well,
Said everyone.
No, everyone does, the MUA does cost the township money.
Right.
Okay, we are a collection agency for them. We take no tax dollars from them. If they were, because they're not, they're not a true separate entity, but they are, so there's no tax involved, am I correct?
Right, it's tax exempt. Yeah.
So, because, and they serve a certain portion of the township. So, but we do have, we do a collection service for them and collect quite a bit of money for them every year. So I don't know what that equates to, but I don't want people to get the impression that the township is just taking money and really giving nothing back.
Do we ever consider what it equates to approximately?
What? No, we work back and forth with the MUA.
But that is the reason why the state sets the limit.
That's
The
it,
state
yes.
says,
Because
it's X because they recognize exactly what the mayor just outlined.
Right.
That each of the properties that they sit on are tax exempt, and we lose that revenue from them.
Correct.
So that's why there's a certain amount that we can recoup. And I'm just saying, at this time, with what we're going to be faced with and what we're going into, I'm just in favor of increasing the
Basically,
ask to what we
it's a
can.
pilot program.
Yeah, more or less, yeah, I guess you could call it that, right. I mean, I believe that was the purpose for the legislation, because there are services given by the township to the MUA, on top of the fact that, I don't know, is all the land, did that belong to the township at one time?
I don't
I
know.
don't think they bought it from us, did they?
Yeah,
This goes way back before I got here, so I
me
couldn't
too.
tell you. But again, I didn't write the legislation, but I'm pretty sure that was the reasoning behind it.
Mike, doesn't our closest township, Egg Harbor Township, also take the maximum?
Yes, I talked to Peter Miller.
So committee, I'm here to, how do you want to proceed with this? You need more information, or?
I mean, based on it, I let it go up or down. At the end of the day, I think that based on the fact, I think Mike should get a hard number of what the max is, so we're not working with what ifs. If you believe it's 250, but if it's 260, I think that's what the ask should be, because the state sets it. So let's find out exactly what it is and request that amount, just like our neighboring communities do.
Is that a motion?
I'll form that in a motion, yes.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Are there any questions? Do we need a roll call on that, Bob?
Do.
Rita, could you please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Patali?
Thank you for answering my questions on that, so I vote yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Number 4, public hearing, adoption of ordinances, an ordinance 1917-2020, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This is something we do every year, yes?
Yes. Allows us to spend up to 3.5% in a bank. We don't have to use it, but we can.
Okay.
So I'll move 4A if you need to move it.
We're gonna have a
I'll second it.
public
Motion
hearing.
second. Does anybody have any questions?
Public hearing.
For public hearing?
There's a public
Oh,
hearing.
Sure.
Sorry. This is a public hearing, so does anybody in the public like to speak? Seeing no one, take a motion to close public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Rodney?
Yeah, I'll move ordinance 1917-2020
I'll
to
second
exceed the
it.
municipal budget appropriation limits.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, could we do a roll call on this, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Patali?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Okay, we don't have any introduction of ordinances. 6, award bids, contracts, and change orders. Resolution to amend Resolution 2017-0405, a resolution to award contract to Dixon Associates Engineering LLC for demolition of specification services, 142 Knightsbridge Way. to increase and not to exceed the amount of $5,000. Mike, give us a little background on this, please.
Yes, sir. A year or so ago, we went out to bid, awarded a bid, and then the property transferred ownership. So we had to cancel the project. So the engineer did all of his work. We were forced to redo it. It's all done now. 142 Knightsbridge Way is gone.
It's gone.
It's graded. It'll be seeded in the spring. But we do need to pay the engineer for redoing it. We'll
Redoing
put this
it
as
when
a
it's
lien
switched.
against the property.
Okay. Does when it's switched ownership, that person still owns it now?
Yes,
Okay, so that switch of ownership was before,
that was before. That's what caused us to give up
right?
the
The
bid award.
11th hour, it got sold, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And will we recoup that money?
Well, I think so. The lot seems to be worth that much, that and what we paid for demolition, so I think.
So we have a lien?
We'll put
We're
a
gonna
lien
build
against.
back-
We'll-
our lien
You'll
against
probably
it.
back at your next meeting with a lien
Okay,
put against it for the demolition and this.
okay. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to move that.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Are there any questions? We roll call, Rita?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker.
Yes,
All yes and carry.
thank you. Consent agenda?
Mr.
I'll make a
Mayor, I'd
motion.
request that we pull D, E, and F for further discussion.
D, E, and F?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you're going to make a motion for A, B, C, G, H, I?
So
I'll make
moved.
that motion. Yeah.
You have a motion, we have a second? Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. So we'll move to D, resolution establishing 2020-2021 Municipal Drug Alliance Program budget.
I just wanted to question, since there are matching funds, and there's an increase in the matching funds, Mike, could you tell us exactly what this money is spent on, or a general idea of what we're spending it on?
It's for drug prevention. There's training, and they do, and Lisa could probably answer it even better than I could. She's the liaison with them. They do it in the elementary schools, and I think there's part that goes to the prom, keeping the kids in the prom.
So it's an outreach program that,
Yes.
and who administrates?
There's a board.
Okay.
We have a board that you appoint. I think there's 7 members. Is it 7, Lisa? Yeah, why don't you? I don't want to misspeak.
Go ahead.
The Municipal Alliance handles a bunch of different programs. There's one for elementary school, one for middle school. The project graduation is for high school. And we actually this year are going to be starting a program for seniors called Walking for Wellness. Most of the programs are administered by Atlantic Prevention Resources, which is in Galloway, I believe, although the Walking for Wellness will be done by the township.
Great. I asked the question for 2 reasons. One, it's matching funds, and I thought the public should know what's on there, what exactly is done with the money. And I think it's a great thing, and anytime we can reach somebody and help them, that's a great thing. So I wanted to make sure it was on the record. All right?
And get matching funds for it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So we'll take them separately.
Yes.
I'll move item 7D, please.
I'll second it.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. E, resolution denying release of performance guarantee for Consumer Square 2, Black Horse Pike Phase 2, also known as the Hamilton Commons, in the amount of $201,700. Travel Casualty and Surety Company, bond number 106-34613, due to incomplete punch list items as recommended by alternate township engineer Kevin Dixon in his correspondence dated 1/2020.
My concern with this is, this goes back, and Committeeman Patali actually brought this to my attention. If you look at this, we're going back to 2006 on this. Am I correct, Mr. Philippone? Yes. And this list is quite extensive. Yeah.
I thought it was more cost effective. Kevin Dixon did the original evaluation and inspection, so I thought it would be best if Kevin stayed with, for cost effectiveness, rather than me getting brought up to speed. So that letter is Kevin's report.
I mean, there's 60, 80 items
I think it
plus.
says 90, actually.
Yeah, you're
I think it
right.
does,
Yeah,
too.
and we're going back to 2006. My concern is, and a lot of times what happens, they'll come before us for a new project or something, and we can get some of this stuff taken care of, but in front of the planning board or what have you. But going through this list, I mean, I think maybe it should be looked at by our compliance officer, our zoning office, and see if any of these items are items that are enforceable from a zoning standpoint. And maybe we can get them to move on some of these items to start getting them corrected.
Could we also maybe notify them about the bond? I mean, to get their attention?
I know that
The bond.
process is available to us, and I think, and again, Committeeman Patali had even suggested that during our discussion of this. You know, I think we should look at it from an enforcement standpoint first, and then if we don't receive the appropriate response, then I think it should be looked at from a bond standpoint. I mean, when we're talking about the amount of items we're talking about, I mean, this is extensive, so.
It's stuff it's broken curb, broken sidewalk, that as long as I've been shopping there, these items have been there since then.
Do we know why it's taking so long? If we ask them to fix it,
Yeah,
pressure on them?
I mean, Mr. Dixon, that's what he's charged with doing, going out there and inspecting each item and asking them to bring it up to code, and it's not happening. So I think at this point, I mean, knowing that this list is as extensive as it is, we should take some type of action, and I would suggest from a zoning standpoint first, and then if that doesn't work, then we move on the bond.
What has precipitated this is a request by Consumer Square 2 for the release of the performance guarantee.
Correct.
And when that happens through Rita's office, there's a process that within 90 days, we send our engineer out to do the inspections. I would suggest to you that given Mr. Dixon's report, you should take action tonight denying the release of the performance bond.
Right.
And administratively, Michael can direct the zoning and planning department to do whatever you'd like them to do. But at this point in time, you have a formal request to release. You have an inspection report by the engineer with 91 deficiencies. So you owe it to the developer to say yes or no to his request to release. And my advice to you is to say no.
Well, I'll make that in the form of a motion. I'll make a motion to deny 7, forgive me, I wrote over top, 7E, and authorize the administrator, or ask the administrator to deny the bond, the release of the bond, and to ask the administrator to pursue the items listed on here that we can under zoning enforcement, and then we will revisit it after we see what they comply with.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. F, resolution approving the 2020 municipal aerial mosquito control agreement.
I wanted to bring this up. I know last year when they sprayed for mosquitoes, there was a lot of phone calls and complaints about, I didn't know this was happening. I gotta bring my dog inside, I gotta bring my cats inside. Is there anything about how early they have to let us know when they're gonna spray? Or can we put that in there, that you gotta let us know what's going on? Give us a little bit more.
I can ask. I don't know how long they know in advance, but I assume they know. I can ask and get back to you, report back to you.
It literally, I think it went out on a Nixle. I can't remember. Do you remember, Greg? I think it did, and then, because it was my neighborhood, so my phone started ringing, and
Of course, just letting us know doesn't get that to the people out there, so.
yeah, so we got to find a way, let us, and then we got to get it out, whether it's through Nixle or whatever.
I think there was a requirement that they advertised it too. They put it in.
They probably do.
They
but
probably
they
did.
don't tell you the day
It's
because
just
of
not,
weather.
whatever it wasn't good enough.
They probably won't tell you the day and time because, weather.
Weather, absolutely, I get it. We just need to do,
They gotta
lean
have
on them
some-
to do a little bit of a better job.
They have
I
to
mean,
have
here's
some
our
type of
chance
schedule.
Let's fix it. Yeah.
to fix it, at least say something, help us out here.
Well, I can reach out to them and report back to you and see what accommodations they can make.
How about we don't approve it until they give us what we want?
Sounds like a plan.
You like that?
Tell me,
Me too.
do they give special attention to areas that need it most?
I think they do. They don't do
Okay.
the whole town, they do certain areas, I believe.
If you look in the packet, the agreement, it does say that it'd be treated, high population of mosquitoes causing a nuisance, a health hazard, or both. And the agreement is that they will notify the Township of Hamilton, the police department, the municipality, and local news media, and then we have to provide them with a contact person. Whether they did it or not, I don't know, but
Yeah, but
that is what the agreement says they will do.
I think what we're looking for is a little more, a hardcore schedule that they're at least going to attempt to go by.
What areas in specific, I think, is what Mr. Vitale was asking. I mean, if they're doing Harding Lakes area on Tuesday and they're doing downtown Mays Landing proper on Thursday, I mean, that's,
So that people in the certain communities can be prepared for that, like with pets and things like that.
I don't think it's beyond us asking or telling them that we want something a little more concrete than the vague line that's in this contract.
Yeah, all it says is, you're gonna let us know prior to each application. Was that an hour prior? That's,
Probably a month prior.
I mean, let's
You're
give us a
giving lot
couple
of
days'
credit.
notice here.
They'll probably give the notice way in advance and we don't know what's going to happen. That's right, but I'll reach out to them and get some information and report back next meeting.
I'll make a motion to table 7F until further information is gathered.
Second that. All right, we have a motion to table 7F. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. 8, personnel. A, resolutions appointing green team members to a one-year term.
I'll move that resolution.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
A motion and second. Are there any questions?
I have a question for Ingrid. We had a member, I think, that wanted to join. Did that member get a chance to join?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
I think you should identify the members.
Excuse me. Members?
It says the following green team members are interested in being reappointed.
Okay.
Carol Dupree, Susan Latarchik, Suzanne Marks. And then it says the following new applicants are interested in filling the 4-year remaining vacancies. Don Giuliano, Cynthia Myers, Audrey Palumbo, Heather Samansky.
I make a motion, we approve those people.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. B, resolution appointing senior citizens advisory committee member, Woods Landing representative for 1 year.
I'll move that. Thank you.
Make a motion for Susan Preston.
Yeah, so move.
Second.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. C, accept resignation of George Fye as Planning Board Alternate 2, term to expire 12/31/21.
I make the motion.
I'll second it.
There are motion and second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. D, resolution appointing Jessica Gibson as deputy tax collector, $55,000 annually, pending successful completion of employment physical background check, effective February 18, 2020. Eligible for $3,000 increase after 6 months with successful performance evaluation.
So moved.
I just had one question. Sorry, Mr. Shard. One question. Is this an increasing headcount, Mike?
It's replacing a vacancy from a resignation.
Okay.
That's not.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Rita, can we do a roll call vote on this, please?
Sure. Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
E, resolution authorizing additional on-call responder compensation for James Jensen at $75.50 per pay period, not to exceed 13 pay periods effective 1/13/2020. Mike, can you give a little background on this, please?
Yes. One of our on-call responders is out on extended leave. We have to fill those weekends or those weeks that he's on, that he would have been on call. So there's no extra cost. It's just shifting it from
Just shifting
whether it's here to one of our other on-call responders. And Jim has agreed to do it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move 8E.
For a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor, you know what, let's do a roll call vote, Rita.
Sure. Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
A, minutes, January 6, 2020, reorganization and regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. B, bills. Bill list total $324,278.40.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Are there any questions? I have one question. Is there a reason why it's so low? Not that I want to spend more money,
We
but
couldn't issue purchase orders because the system hasn't changed over.
we're flipping over
So
the first of the
it's
year.
flipped over now, but just from.
Can we do this every month?
No, next month will probably be awful high.
I don't want to hear that, Mike. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Reports, Mr. Administrator.
Nothing to add to the written report.
So I have one thing that I guess I should address to you, the trash contract.
Yes.
What's the holdup?
Finishing the detail. Ingrid's here, she can respond to it directly. Just finalizing the details to get it out to bid. Yeah.
No, the bid specs are just ready now. The holdup was to make sure that we had appropriate counts from condo complexes, and we have one new complex out there. And we have to push now because if we do switch contractors, we switch containers. So that puts us out, we have to give a new company, should there be a new company successful with the bid, we have to give them enough time to switch containers out as well.
Does this process always start after the first of the year? Or did it start before the first?
It started way before the first of the year.
So is it abnormal for us to be this far out before getting this done?
We did the same thing last time we went to bid too. We were 2 to 3 months out, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we do this every year?
No, 5 years, every 5.
Odd. Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Isn't that information that the current provider could give to us?
No, it's something that we have to go and independently verify so that we can make sure that they're not charging us for something that we don't have out there. It's a huge township and there's different collection situations in each of the apartment complexes and the condo complexes. We've got, I think, 7, 8 condo complexes and about 9 apartment complexes, and we don't provide the containers that are there. So we need to go, say somebody switches out from a 4-yard container to a 6-yard container, we don't know about it. I got to get out there at least every 5 years and verify what's out there so that we're not paying for something we shouldn't pay.
Okay.
All right?
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Solicitor?
Nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Engineer?
We have a few items. First, in my report, the Lake Lenape Dam. I indicated in my report that a separate report we were waiting for from Patrick Ennis. That report just came in late Friday. The report is a summary report of everything that Patrick has done starting in 2017. He's the dam engineer hired by the county. So he itemizes everything he's done in the past 2.5 years. The areas I want to focus on are what's upcoming. The one piece of information he's still gathering and waiting for are some additional survey information from the county survey department. They need to finish surveying downstream from the dam about 35, floor elevation is about 35. That's required by the DEP. That information is finished. They have a conceptual approval from DEP and everything like that. I would suggest, I spoke to the county on Friday, there's one dam meeting scheduled as of right now, and I asked Dr. Mayo, what's the procedure? When is the dam meeting typically scheduled? And it's usually the county engineer that calls for a dam meeting. I would suggest, we're close enough, the dam committee is close enough, I would suggest that time properly for another dam meeting.
I would suggest that Pat come here to one of the February meetings that Steve has invited him to do, and that the dam committee meeting follow shortly thereafter.
Can we get that?
I just think we have to keep, and I think the more appearances, meetings we have, we'll benefit from keeping this.
I agree, and I think that what we could do, given the number of people that attend these meetings, is to schedule it, but to schedule it with the fact in mind that maybe Pat would come here before that meeting. It's not completely a condition precedent that's necessary, but I think it would give you a better understanding of the process, and then I and other members of the committee could report back thereafter.
Can you approach him about coming here and giving us a report? Right now, all I do is write checks to these guys.
I sent an email to Patrick and got to the county 1 week ago, and I listed the 2 upcoming dates in February, and in that email said, if you send the date, try to clear your schedule. So I will contact Patrick Ennis in the county tomorrow.
And maybe at least you could contact the county folks so that they could schedule something in early March. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Because we really, until recently, we've been kept in the dark with the dam situation. And I think they owe us at least that, to come here and keep us abreast of what's happening, because every time I hear about it, there's more engineering being done. And all that, just so everyone knows, all the engineering that gets done, we pay for half of it. So everything that goes on with this dam, we pay for half. So I think we're entitled to at least being kept up to speed with what's happening or not happening.
The other part of this, I think it was mentioned in one of the dam meetings that I went to, the police department. Patrick mentioned it in his report. He's under contract up to a certain point in time. Let's get DEP approval, except for the dam design. But the actual design, he needs to go into contract with the county, he needs to find somebody else. So to keep things moving, I think we're at a point where they better be looking towards finding, making sure Patrick, he seems very confident.
I agree, and I think that you and I could probably set up a conference call with Doug and see if we can tweak. What happens in the dam committee is it's driven by the county. We have 3 members, they have 3 members, and when there is a tie, the county engineer is the tiebreaker. We've never had a tie, but they control the agenda. So Steve, if you reach out for me tomorrow, we can get Dan on the phone and see what we can get going.
And this also has a budget implication. I mean, we have to know certain things coming up. There's already monies being spent. We're very fortunate that we've been able to put money aside in the last few budgets towards the dam, which we know we're going to have to pay anyway, and we hope to put more aside this year. So it's good to be kept in the loop as much as we can on that, because even engineering costs are something that come out of that amount, you know.
I will say this, though. To some extent, the State Dam Committee misled Patrick's firm with respect to the requirements that they needed to submit to get to the second level. So they had to redo that, and they did it. So now we're ready to go to the third level. So I think that this is an appropriate time to do this, Steve.
Steve, did they give an idea of how long it would take to survey those 30 properties?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not done.
It was around the holidays, and you can't ask people to work around the holidays.
It was supposed to have been done.
So-
I checked today. It wasn't, I checked with the person doing it. It's not done yet. It could be done within 2 weeks.
Wow. They did it in-house. The county did it with their own people. They wanted to keep it in-house. Saves money, but it takes longer.
Okay.
More items.
Okay.
Cotton Hill Bridge, we're waiting on, the county's waiting on internally, review of the contract by the county solicitor, and they're waiting for the NJDOT concurrence of the contract, and all the specifications. They're anticipating a pre-construction meeting in mid-February. We're not going to set that pre-construction date until the county is under contract with construction. So I asked Doug DeMayo the question. I said, Doug, and it's in my report, where in order restrictions from April 1st to June 30th. Now, I said I'm a little concerned. We're still not under contract. We're not in pre-construction meeting. We're approaching April 1st. Don't we have to get the utility bridge under construction and completed before April 1st? And Doug said that the county has a contingency plan. They have some money aside. They could lay out a separate contract for a utility bridge if need be. That's sort of a critical point, that April 30th. The in-water work has to be completed by April 3rd. So,
How long is it going to take for the utility bridge to get done?
I don't know the answer to that.
So what they're saying is they can do the utility bridge and not delay it till after the 4th of July.
They could do it.
Because they don't have to go in water to do it?
Part of the overall contract.
Right. They can break it out.
They can break it out.
Okay.
And they're prepared to do that.
Mm-hmm. But they're really not going to have any choice at this time.
That's what we're at.
Because every time, no offense, but every time you give us a report, this pre-construction meeting keeps moving out, and out, and out, and out, and out. Easter's coming, you know. Okay.
Next item, Old State Harbor Road Bridge, the punch list was completed last Thursday. All the work is done. They released, that Friday. We're just looking to look at it, make sure the grass is germinating and there's no erosion, and take a look at the spring. That's completed. Next item is Tavistock. Charlie Kane is a couple of weeks ago brought to my attention that light at the intersection of parking and the entrance still wasn't replaced. And I contacted Atlantic Electric and they got off pretty quick, so that light is illuminating the intersection of Tavistock. Got some special help from Atlantic Electric in that area. Next item is Dollar General. Dollar General is substantially complete. They're in the stages where they're applying for their TCOs right now. They've asked me if the committee will be interested in a ribbon cutting ceremony. Once I know the tentative date for that, I'll pass it over to Lisa. And if he's interested, Dollar General is very interested in having the alphabetical building. The last item I just want to mention, the performance guarantee, the 9 for Consumer Square 2. I'll reach out for for Kevin Dixon and let him know what the community sentiment is on that. There's some new managers at DD Residential, the owners of the development, and they've been a little bit active over the past couple of years on some zoning applications, so I'll reach out to Kevin and let him know it's just not a regular denial. The committee wants action taken, and I know who needs to communicate over at so I'll make sure that happens.
Thank you. Anything else, Steve? Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, we'll move on to Township Committee members. Carl?
Going over the reports that I get, I'm still a learning curve for me, figuring my way through. One thing that I saw, I'd like to give credit to Chris Tilley for pursuing and obtaining an energy grant. This grant funded the replacement of all the light fixtures in our fleet maintenance garage. LED lighting was installed in-house by our own people, and it cost us, the township, under $500.
Awesome.
The new fixtures, the LED fixtures, will continue to save us money with the lower energy costs. So I just wanted to say good job to Chris and Brett and all your guys. Thank you. Also, want to congratulate one of our local residents. Well, she's not a resident anymore. She moved to Hamilton. Ashley Benton. She was named the Educational Services Professional of the Year at Oakcrest, where she's a guidance counselor. She's a product of our school system, went to school here, graduated from Oakcrest, graduated from Stockton and Wilmington University. She was our go-to babysitter in our neighborhood. And like I said, she lives in Hamilton with her husband Dave and her 2 daughters. And I just wanted to give her kudos for being the Professional of the Year for Oakcrest. She's a local product, and I think we should say thank you. Well, that's all.
Thank you, Carl. John?
I just want to mention, again, kudos to our Public Works Department. They did a great job over in the park this year. We had a lot of compliments from residents on how the park looked, and they also did a great job, and time-wise too, getting the lights down. Everything is down and packed away this year. We really look good, and thanks, Brett, for getting everybody to work out on that. Also, I'll touch base real quick on what Carl mentioned with the grant that Chief Tilley was involved in. Also, if you look at the other side of that, in our hiring policies through all the different departments, and in this case, Public Works, getting somebody on board that has the ability, that's an employee that has the ability to do electrical work and is trained in that area, plumbing work, and carpentry work is something that has really benefited us over the last few years. And that's a dollar savings to us, so you're absolutely right. That's it.
Thank you, John. Charlie?
I really don't have much. I just wanted to mention one thing and ask maybe if Mike could look into this for us, Mike. Some years ago, we did a rec study, if you recall. And we actually had an outside company do the rec study to identify areas that were in need with our recreation programs. Could you find out what the cost of this was for us? Again, with the upcoming budget, it may help out with planning what recreation needs are out there, and so that we can, appropriately budget for them. My other question is, and I know this is going to hit us all at once, but it keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed, but when is traffic really eventually going to be disrupted from the dam? The bridge, Wheaton's Bridge, and what the plan is to redirect traffic. And I know we talked about it briefly from the other side of the microphone, we talked about it, but is there going to be a coordinated effort between us, the state, the county, to redirect, especially with summer coming? Being quite selfish, I mean, I know, our Mays Landing Summers Point Road what's going to happen is our area is going to end up as a cut through again when people get frustrated waiting and waiting and waiting. And there's a lot of children that play in the neighborhood, and are we going to have a plan to redirect traffic around the town, outlying far enough where it doesn't congest our roadways?
I did ask the county the question, when will the bridge be closed? And the county said it will be up to the contractor.
I mean, just with the success that the shore towns have had over the last few years, I mean, the traffic has been horrendous, especially during the summertime, and I just want to make sure we're prepared for it, because it's going to create a mess for a long, long time, and I think that has to start a lot further out than Mays Landing, Hamilton Township, to start this redirection process. And my next question is maybe to the chief. How do we go about possibly petitioning some roads as not allowing through traffic, specifically in some of these neighborhoods where people are going to get frustrated and try to start cutting through, not realizing that they're going through residential neighborhoods and there's a lot of children in those neighborhoods, and it could be a hazard.
I've had a couple discussions with our traffic coordinator, Wade Smith. Until we know exactly how they're going to shut down the bridge and things of that nature, we won't have a plan. But I'm sure working with Steve and Wade and the county, we can determine what way we can stop people from using the roads as throughways and things of that nature. Whether it be possibly an ordinance or something for those roads temporarily or not. So.
That's all I have.
I think with that bridge closing, each phase of that bridge is going to bring different challenges that, you know, we have to kind of, I know there's going to be an overall plan, but I think at certain times it's going to be excessive, where this plan is just,
Is there a way we can lean on the county to help us out with policing?
We've had conversations with that, but so far nothing concrete. Steve, I know Steve has been meeting with them a lot. I believe they're coming back in here to talk to us. That keeps getting pushed back because of the date for starting gets pushed back. So I would like to, you know, hopefully we would have them in here before they get physically started on this project, so that everybody can bring their concerns to them. You know, we'll do it in an open forum where maybe we'll allow the people in the audience to ask questions too, because this concerns everybody. So this has been a very long talked about subject, and it's not going to end anytime soon. This getting pushed back the way it is isn't helping the situation any. I think it's just going to push it out further. I'm afraid that, you know, the actual construction might not start till after the 4th of July at this point. I know we talk about the utility bridge, but the utility bridge isn't the actual bridge. It's just moving the utilities off of the existing bridge that's there, so that they can still do what they got to do while they demo the bridge. So it's going to be a long project no matter which way you slice it, but we're going to try and hopefully we're going to convince the county, state to work with us so that we can lighten the impact as much as possible. Rodney.
Thank you. Well, I attended the League of Municipalities meeting recently, and the speaker was the executive director who's leaving. He gave an open legislative overview, and all I can say is that there are many, many issues of concern to municipalities. There was a great deal of concern about the budget situations and where they're going to get their revenue from, and I can't say there were any great answers. a lot of issues, one of which I thought was interesting. When we provide farmland, and when farmland is handed over to preserve the farmland, if someone wants to use that for some other reason, they would normally go to the municipality to ask permission. Well, there's actually a bill going forward to eliminate that and allow vendors to just come in and do what they want to with it. There was a lot of discussion about utility money, but I can't say there are any favorable answers. I would say they're out there to help us, so we need to contact them and try to get as much from them as we can. On a more positive side, though, I think there's a lot of great stuff happening with Duverson and perhaps downtown. We have a resident here who has returned from traveling around the country with experience in energy conservation and other things. She came to the green team because of her interest in energy conservation and talked to them, and as a result, I think she came and talked to us a while back. There are programs available that we can take advantage of to save us money. And she'll be back to talk, or the state will be in here to talk about those programs pretty soon. And I think, did she already talk with you, Mike?
We've already applied for one of them
Uh-huh.
for the town hall.
Well, apparently there's quite a bit of money that's available. I know that she's talked with yes, Ingrid and yes, Hannah. She's talked with the school board about the Duverson building, and the superintendent, I know they're both interested in doing something with it. She's got estimates on what it takes to fix it, and she's got all kinds of people who want to volunteer their services, including manual work like painting and art, carpentry, etc. We also have a volunteer, a former teacher, who volunteered to assist in with these people, helping them accomplish what they want to do. So it's very exciting, and I think there's we have a community effort going on, and there's a possibility of some great results. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rodney. I just have, I don't know who to address this to. So the Lundy building, I saw in the special projects report that we have the specs for the parking lot. The doors that we were supposed to replace, is that done?
No, neither project has started yet.
Can I ask a question? Why is it taking this long? The money for the doors was allocated in 2017, and the money for the parking lot was allocated in 2018.
Yeah, I'd have to look back on the chain of emails to see exactly what the delays are. I have one spec that's ready, I don't have the rest of it.
All right, could you look into that, please? Because I'm baffled how this could possibly take this long. Their parking lot's not that big. The other thing I have is that tonight we had our first budget meeting prior to this meeting. This meeting was basically a get-together. Mike kind of runs down what we're looking at, where we're at. None of the numbers are in yet, so it's not really that, we're not that far into it as of yet. And I just wanted to make that remark because one of the things that was discussed at the meeting was recreation and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So we're going to get a little deeper into that, look at each individual field or facility and see what we can do to improve it, and ultimately, how do we pay for it? How does this move forward? So it was something that we've been talking about doing for a couple of years now, and I think on the heels of what we've been dealing with the Hamilton Mall, coming out of that a little bit now, we can start talking about projects like this in a more positive, definite way. So we're going to move on with that and see where we get. So there's already some plans that we had done a few years back for Leapy Field, so we're going to revisit that and see how viable that is. And basically, first step is to get some pricing and see what we're looking at dollars and cents wise. I think it's important to the community that we keep investing back in our community as well as keeping our spending down. So we're going to have to find a balance for that.
Good.
With that, I'm going to open it up to the public. Does anybody in the public like to comment? Mr. Strye.
Since you mentioned the budget meeting just now, I recall many years ago, Township Committee held a series of 2 or 3 budget meetings specifically for that purpose. There'd be 5 committee people, and anyone in the public who wanted to attend could, just to hear the discussions behind the scenes on how monies would be spent. So your mentioning of a budget meeting reminded me of that. And some people attended, and there was some good input from the public at the time. Usually once your budgets get introduced, that's pretty much cut and dry. So consider. On the subject of the MUA, I appreciate Carl and Rodney's concern about the MUA in a way subsidizing part of the municipal budget. Not everybody in the township is on water and sewer. On the other hand, the MUA budget, I think the MUA is very solid financially, to a point where they have, and this might be a dig, but they have $2.5 million extra to build a unneeded office building on Old Lake Harbor Road, but that is before the planning board, and I'm sure there's more to come on that. Just one quick question on the dam, as far as the design. Will water flow at one time over the dam like it has in the past, rather than be obstructed by the coffer dam that has been there for construction? I don't know the answer to that.
I think yes.
Once it hits a certain elevation, it will
Yeah.
flow over.
Yeah, but now that construction work is, as you can well see, it's inhibiting the water over the dam. So do you know? You don't know if it's...
Oh, no, there's definitely going to be, I think what they're still trying to figure out is how many feet of, what's the word I'm looking for? The
Spillway.
The spillway.
Yeah.
Right,
Right now, they were talking 500 feet,
right.
and that would be from, Wheaton's all the way down to
I understand.
Dry Run.
I guess this is more aesthetic than
So
anything.
what they're doing now is trying to work their way around that, but I think you will see there's going to be water coming over it all the time.
Oh, no, I understand, but it's just aesthetically, whether that matters to you or not. In other words, the construction is inhibiting water from flowing. It flows over half the dam and not the other half.
Bruce, I don't think so.
No?
I think that without the baffles placed in the coffer dam, it's wide open, right?
Yeah, it's the way they made it sound. There's not going to be gates anymore. Brett? Did you get that feeling?
Yeah, they want to do a labyrinth design.
Yeah.
So all that stuff will
But
be
what you're
removed.
talking about was the coffer dam that Agate put in place
Yeah, right,
that
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
work.
Mhm.
Well, that was designed to put these chutes in between the H piles.
That was a repair situation. It's-
Right, but it didn't work.
Right.
So right now, there's none of those chutes in there, so the water's going right through it.
Right, okay. The other subject was at the reorganization meeting. There were some allegations brought up by Mr. Kurtz on in his words, not mine, an illegal meeting of 3 sitting committeemen to elect a township attorney that was unnamed, and the result was it was held to predetermine the outcome of the reorganization meeting. Mr. Kurtz alleged that it was an illegal meeting, and from the people that attended, it certainly sounds like it. Is there any way that are you addressing that allegation with an independent investigation to determine whether that was or was not an illegal meeting?
Can I ask for a point of clarification?
Sure.
You said a township attorney?
Well, if you listen to the video, Mr. Kurtz alleged an attorney who serves both a law firm, not an attorney, law firm that serves both the township and the NUA. And if you go back and you look carefully,
I understand.
which I did, so
You're not talking about me.
no, well, no one was named. No, there were no.
I wasn't there.
Okay, you're the first to deny any culpability. So anyway, Mr. Mayor, are you addressing that allegation?
I don't know that the meeting was illegal.
Well, I'm just going by what a sitting committee person stated.
Personally, am I going to follow through? No, because the meeting was not illegal.
Okay, so
You've been to
everyone
a
is
few of them,
denying.
Bruce, you would know.
Pardon me?
You've been to a few of them.
I've attended many, no illegal meetings.
Well, why, if you have been to any caucus meetings, you would know that the people at that meeting were lawfully there.
Well, I was never part of a quorum of any board that I was sitting on. And I was not the one that, no, don't shoot the messenger. All I'm referring to is an illegal.
You're asking me whether we're going to do something, whether John feels as though it's an illegal meeting or not. I don't know where he gets that from. I can't answer for him.
Okay, so the answer is no.
My
further.
opinion is it was not an illegal
And
meeting.
Mr. Samian, there's no going to be any follow-up on this?
I take my direction from the dyad.
Okay, that's fine. The other situation that Mr. Kurtz stated as part of, and there was a controversy of who was going to be mayor, and the reason that those of you decided that he lost the confidence of the Planning and Zoning Board were the amendment to the developmental ordinance. You were unhappy with that, and I agree. The Planning and Zoning Board, one officially and one unofficially, were unhappy with that. But and the reason was Mr. Kurtz used his office to promote that amendment to benefit a close personal associate, both financially and with the Merchants Association, as well as doing business with the applicant. And the reason for that amendment was to save the applicant money. And I've listened to the tape many times. So is there any action that this committee will take to address that situation?
We have spoken to our solicitor, and he is going to give his opinion on that.
Publicly use that opinion?
I would think he would give it to us in private first, so we can decide what we want to do.
Okay, will that opinion be made public?
I don't see why not.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
I've got a comment on that. It seems to me that if there was a meeting involving the majority of the committee members that is discussing township business and wasn't advertised, that would not be legal. That's the way we've always interpreted that. Is that not correct?
If it were just a majority of the township committee, you are correct. On the other hand, there is an exception to that called a political caucus, where it is a body politic, a group of people who are affiliated with a particular party that get together, and it's not just the three or majority of the folks up there, but it involves political leaders, other leaders, and issues of politics are discussed. And that is an exception to what you're referring to as a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act.
Yeah, I agree. There are provisions for caucuses, but I think what raised the red flag was that a sitting committeeman used the word illegal meeting to predetermine the, now, if that's all, don't shoot the messenger, this is just what I heard. He didn't say that we had a caucus, we had an illegal meeting.
Any person sitting up there has the right to have an opinion.
No, I understand.
With respect to anything. And they have the right to express that opinion.
I agree.
Whether or not it is legally correct is usually addressed to me. It has not.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, why couldn't any meeting where township business is discussed by a political group be considered a legal meeting? I mean, I think that's an illegal meeting.
It's a defined exception in the law, and the intent is to allow a political party to meet where there might be a quorum of the elected officials present, but it's in conjunction with the intent and purpose of the political party. And it's for the purposes of addressing agendas for the political party, not specific to township business. So that's why the law recognizes that a political caucus is in fact an exception.
And I just feel the urge to comment on that. Bob made a good description of what the caucus meeting actually is, and I've attended caucus meetings now every year for the last 6 years. My determination, or my mentioning that meeting, was meant to mean that particular meeting. What I believe is a caucus meeting and a get-together and a social gathering, it's past around holiday time, you're talking about the forward movement of your party. Yes, I believe that is a caucus meeting. This, in my opinion, quickly turned into something that was more than just a caucus meeting, and that's why I particularly said I felt that way. I've attended caucus meetings in the past that I've had no reason to think anything other than it was a good meeting, but I didn't at this particular meeting.
Okay, so you stand by your characterization as an illegal meeting?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Yes.
Hello again. My name is Heather Szymanski. Committeeman Gouchard had alluded to some of the things we had been looking at. As a member of the Green Team, officially, thank you, this evening, we're going to be looking at other possibilities moving forward. But I just wanted to give you a quick update on the New Jersey Clean Energy Program that Committeeman Gouchard had mentioned. Next week, Gary Finger, who's the head of that program for South Jersey allocation, he's with TRC that allocates those program funds for the state. He's going to help looking at other aspects of the township, because you did do this building 9 years ago. So I'm an energy auditor as well. So there's a number of low-hanging fruit areas where they could save us a lot of money. So I'm excited that Gary Finger is going to be here next week to go through specifically the last 14 months of utility bills. That's so in our favor, they can throw out 2 months to work the numbers as best they can for which program's better than another. For example, they just doubled school incentives, which I'm talking about possibilities for Duberson now. We're looking early on at different funding streams and opportunities where we could bring money in, and having the school own it for a little while allows us to tap into some of that double funding. So basically, we're seeing what's out there, what money's available from the state and the programs that exist, even before hitting a lot of the grants that we know about. So I just wanted to let you know that that's moving forward, and thank you for
Who's helping gather that information?
What's that?
Who's helping gather the information for the individual coming up?
Well, we have that process going, and it's been approved by you guys last year, and I believe it goes through Michael Jacobs' office ultimately about the administration and
Ingrid's
utility bills there. So,
Ingrid, I just asked that we get the trash cans counted first.
what's that? What was that? I'm sorry.
I asked her if we get the trash cans counted first.
Oh, okay. Sure. Whatever the case may be. But just a side note, there's other areas separate of the township that you approved. There's incentives that are significant for pumping stations. So Gary Finger mentioned in particular that there may be some incentives available there. So just something else that we're going to take a look at, see what's possible. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the public like to speak?
Motion to close public portion?
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We're going to adjourn to executive session, discuss contract with JPM and the procedure for hiring a township administrator, contract negotiation, and personnel.
Be resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton that this meeting be adjourned to an executive session to discuss the following matters which are exempt from public discussion pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law. Discussion of contract with JPM and procedure for hiring a township administrator, contract negotiations, and personnel. Be it further resolved that the governing body may reconvene in public session and confirm the results of the executive session if there is a majority consensus for action to be taken on the matter tonight. Be it further resolved that the results of said executive session shall be made known as soon as the basis for confidentiality is no longer confidential. Need a motion and a second.
You have a motion to go into executive session, please?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All those in, all right, we ready? All right, we need a motion to reopen public session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. All right, so we had conversation about the topic at hand. There was no decisions or motions made, so we can close the public, take a motion, close the meeting.
Move to close the meeting.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.